We have the latest on the ongoing legal case against a current AEW wrestler. Two released WWE superstars have struck gold, and this current WWE star will never wrestle again. But first, be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss the latest pro wrestling news. And let's start with a story about a top AEW star that could be pulled from the Revolution pay-per-view. This week's episode of AEW Dynamite would be main evented by a six-man tag team match featuring AEW World Champion Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, and the Machine Brian Cage facing off against FTW Champion Hook, Hangman Adam Page, and Rob Van Dam. The bout would see Hangman appear to roll his ankle during a spot with Samoa Joe, leading to him limping and appearing to be in pain for the rest of the show. This led to fears that the former world champion had suffered a legitimate injury, something Dave Meltzer would discuss on Wrestling Observer Radio. Meltzer noted that he heard from somebody who was present at ringside that Adam stated that he believed he broke his ankle, the same injury that's seen Adam Cole out of action for a number of months. With that said, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful has now followed up with a report of his own, dispelling any injury concerns, noting that it was a case of Page simply doing his job well by selling a potential knock, and Sean would write, "We're told this could be worked into the show now, but upon returning to the backstage area, Page was completely fine. One talent used a phrase that has often been used in situations like this. Yeah, he's okay, he's just good at his job." AEW did not provide an update in an official capacity. This news would later be confirmed by Brian Alvarez on a later episode of Wrestling Observer Radio, although he would note that Hangman could miss the Revolution event due to issues outside of the ring, and he would say, "Hangman is not hurt, he worked an ankle injury, and the reason he worked the injury is because he has something going on in his personal life that he may not be able to work the pay-per-view. If he can't work the pay-per-view, then this is the cover story as to why he can't work the pay-per-view. He injured his ankle. Virtually nobody knew about it, and I don't know if even the people in the match knew that he was going to do this. There were people very close to Hangman who even this morning didn't know what was going on. I presume that him and Tony talked about it, but I can't tell you that for sure. The point of the story is he's okay. He may work the pay-per-view, he may not work the pay-per-view, and I don't know if we're going to know whether he's going to work the pay-per-view or not until the last minute. I don't know what the personal issues are, but they are there, and that's what's going on. We now wait to see if Hangman will be present on Dynamite next week, and if he'll be written off of television for the short term whilst his apparent ongoing personal issues are dealt with. And next up, two major WWE legends have given their thoughts on the Vince McMahon lawsuit. In January 2024, Vince McMahon would be forced to step down from his position as chairman of TKO Group. This after a lawsuit was filed against him alleging sexual assault, emotional abuse, and sex trafficking. One man who's been public about his friendship with Vince McMahon in the past is former WWE champion John Cena, with the two men remaining close even during Cena's time away from the company. Speaking on the Howard Stern show this week, Cena would reveal his feelings about the Vince McMahon situation, comments that have led to fan backlash online, and he would say,
"I don't think it's complicated to talk about. I think it's complicated to listen to." And that's kind of why I don't necessarily put a lot of time and equity into it. Again, I think there's still a long ways to go. I can say this. I'm a big advocate of love and friendship and honesty and communication, but in the same breath, I'm also a big advocate of accountability. I think you explained it well of if someone's behavior lies so far outside your value system, the balance shifts of like, man, I can't operate in a world where this works.
Yeah.
That's the end result of being accountable. But there's also...
What are you going to do, though?
Right now, what I'm going to do is love the person I love,
right?
Be their friend. And by that, it means like, hey, I love you. You got a hill to climb. And, you know, there's the saying of like, hey, you don't know who you are, or you don't know who your friends are until the shit hits the fan or your back's against the wall. That doesn't make any of what's going on any easier to swallow. And by that, it means like, hey, I love you. You got a hill to climb. And, you know, there's the saying of like, hey, you don't know who you are, or you don't know who your friends are until the shit hits the fan or your back's against the wall. That doesn't make any of what's going on any easier to swallow.
Cena went on to describe the lawsuit as super unfortunate, adding that not only does it deal with an individual he loves, but an entity in WWE that he loves and speaks highly of. Randy Orton is another star that's received a big push by McMahon and has remained on top of WWE for the past 20 years. This week, the Viper would be asked a similar question regarding the ongoing lawsuit in an interview with The Post, where he talked about the conflict between his own personal relationship with Vince and the terrible mistakes McMahon may have made, and Orton would say, "I've seen the horrible things online that I don't want to believe because this man has done so many things for me. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been given second and third chances in WWE. I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now if it wasn't for that man. So part of me wants to not believe it, and then the other part of me understands that he could have done all these wonderful things for me and the business and created this amazing thing that will go on well after he's gone. But on the other hand, he's human and he made some terrible mistakes." In a separate interview with Sports Illustrated, Orton would once again be asked to discuss the Vince McMahon lawsuit, with him adding that the whole thing hurt his heart, and he would say, "I've got to say this, I wouldn't be where I am with Vince McMahon taking a chance on me a handful of times. I would not be where I am today without Vince McMahon, but fuck, I'm reading this shit. It's what you've seen and read, I've seen and read. As far as commenting on that, it f***ing hurts my heart. It hurts my heart." And next we have the latest on the ongoing legal case against a current AEW wrestler. On July 28 last year, a warrant was filed for the arrest of former AEW World Tag Team Champion Cash Wheeler, who was taken in on charges of aggravated assault with a firearm. This after an alleged road rage incident on July 27, where he's said to have flashed a gun at a fellow driver. Cash would later plead not guilty to the charge via his attorney on August 3rd at his first appearance in court, although all of his firearms had to be turned over to the local sheriff's department until the case is over. With that said, the case against Wheeler is now taking its next step, as following an arraignment earlier this week, a trial date has now been set, and PW Insider would report AEW star Daniel Cash Wheeler did not appear today, but was arraigned before Florida's Orange County Court in Florida. One charge of aggravated assault with a firearm, a third-degree felony in the Sunshine State. The court set a trial date of May 20 with a pre-trial hearing set for May 7. The court issued an order today that Wheeler must appear on May 7. The latest development will be concerning news for the current AEW star, as Florida law states that a conviction for aggravated assault with a firearm could lead to up to 4 years imprisonment, 5-year probation, and a $5,000 fine. And next, 2 released WWE superstars have struck gold. In September 2023, a number of WWE wrestlers would be released from their contract, with many of them since going on to re-emerge in other companies. On today's New Japan Pro-Wrestling event, New Beginning in Sapporo, both Matt Riddle and the former Dolph Ziggler would fight to win championship gold in Japan. Firstly, Riddle would find himself going one-on-one with NJPW World Television Champion Hiroshi Tanahashi. This in his first singles match for the promotion. In the end, the King of Bros would be victorious against the NJPW president after dropping him with a Bro Derek in the middle of the ring. Later on in the main event of the night, Dolph Ziggler, now using his real name of Nick Nemeth, would compete for the newly founded IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship, this in a match against reigning champion David Finlay. Once again, the bout saw a former WWE star walk away with a belt, as the Wanted Man would manage to hit a super kick and a zigzag, now named the Danger Zone, securing himself the 1-2-3. It seems that New Japan have big plans for both Nemeth and Riddle going forward. This likely something made way by the recent high-profile exits of many of the company's top stars, including Jay White, Kazuchika Okada, and Will Ospreay. And next up, this current WWE star will never wrestle again. Former WWE United States champion Bobby Roode hasn't wrestled since a June 2022 house show where he would be on the losing side of a match against Omos. Shortly after the bout, Roode would undergo 2 neck fusion surgeries that has led to him being unable to wrestle since, with many wondering if his time in the ring had come to an end. The 47-year-old veteran would speak with Chris Van Vliet this week, where he would reveal that whilst he has been cleared to return to action, he's not interested in wrestling anymore and is focused on being a producer behind the scenes, something he states was the reason he joined WWE in the first place. And Bobby would say,
ironically enough, I just got green lighted, the fusion has completely fused. So as far as like looking at it from a medical point of view, it's safe to get back in the ring, I guess. But at almost 48 years old, given the opportunity that I've been given now to work as a producer, which was my goal, coming to WWE almost 8 years ago. I'm quite happy doing this, and I feel like I've had a good run, as they say.
When asked if he would like to have one more match before officially retiring, Rude would appear to rule this out, seemingly confirming that he will never wrestle again, and Bobby would add,
I think everybody would like to have one last match, right? But sometimes you just, when the wheels fall off, the wheels fall off, It's just, that's the nature of the beast in this sport.
And before you go, make sure you check out 10 Tony Khan's Secrets AEW wants you to forget.